Yes, my brethren, and a happy Wagwan to you all. This, as we all know, is the Audi RS3, a compact saloon with supercar ambition. 5 cylinders, quattro grip, and relentless performance wrapped in everyday usability. However, this particular RS3 isn't your usual one sat in McDonald's being revved to death. No, something here feels different. It's sharper, louder, more purposeful. This car doesn't just follow the formula, it totally rewrites it. And today I'm going to take you on a short journey as I'm going to try and work out why this car is apparently worth £110,000. Madness, I know. So I was a little bit confused when this car first got offered to me, and it came in on part exchanged against a Java Green M3 competition, which we bought from a subscriber, a guy called Alan. Lovely bloke, really nice guy to deal with, easy deal. And then also it sold really quickly as well. We only had it online for 24 hours. The guy was coming up from down south anyway to look at a car at, say, another dealership, saw ours, just happened to come across it and needed a Java Green M3 in his life. Now obviously this man had an eclectic taste in cars because this was his part exchange. Now an Audi RS3R by ABT is very different to just a standard RS3, my brother, because this car has had £40,000 spent on it. And at first I couldn't really wrap my head around where that money has been spent, because there are plenty of companies out there, so for example Urban, that will throw a kit on your Land Rover Defender. It'll cost you a few grand and it'll look very nice, and then you've got something like this which looks on the face of it to have some nice embroidery on the seats and a body kit, and it's 40,000 quid. The more you read about ABT, this German company, the more it starts to make sense. So this company is involved in touring cars in Germany. They have got the 4th most expensive dyno in Europe. I believe it's about 10 million quid. The R&D that goes into this sort of stuff is beyond belief. It is not just a case of an RS3 with a remap. This car is proper. So let me just talk you through some of the things that you get for your 40,000 quid. First of all, what you can do is you can buy a brand new one of these and take it across to a company in Milton Keynes called Richter Automotive. I spoke to Neil earlier on, who's one of the bosses there. Very helpful, by the way. And they will convert it for you. Or they will buy one and they will convert it from brand new for you. Now the previous owner, the person who initially bought this car, bought a Vorsprung, so it's the top spec anyway, literally everything you could want on it. They limited the run to only 200 of these cars. Only 5 made it across to the UK, and only 2 of those are in the saloon variant, which apparently is more popular. For me, I think I'd probably prefer a hatchback, but apparently the saloon is more popular. So it is very exclusive to have one of these in the first place, but you're still wondering where your 40 grand goes. Well, actually, I'll tell you. It has got carbon fibre everywhere. It's got a carbon fibre rear diffuser, carbon fibre front splitter, carbon fibre canards, carbon fibre on the sides of the dashboard, carbon fibre on the seat bases. They're an option on top of the kit, by the way, and carbon fibre somewhere else as well. There's carbon fibre everywhere, and that's kind of like the little thing that you get. So it's got 20-inch forged alloy wheels. It has got different anti-roll bars. It has got different suspension. It's obviously been tuned as well, and it's been tuned by the company at ABT on their fancy dyno, and it runs 510 horsepower. There's different power modes. I'll talk you through that in a second as well. You've obviously got all the interior features like the different embroidery on the seats, etc. The number plaque on the door sill that reminds you that you've got a 1 or 200 cars. There's a horse here and I'm in an RS3, and she's probably very surprised I'm not going to drive like a brat. Steady away. I need to be steady away because on top of the kit, this has also got a Miltec exhaust as well, which was fit as part of the kit fitting process. There's a huge amount of stuff on this. It's got an app that you can dive onto, and I'll show you that in a second, so that you can tune the car as you wish. Not just from the infotainment system in the car, but from your tablet or mobile device. The more you read about this, the more you start to understand it's a bit special. Now I'm being very careful not to damage anything here, because you can buy replacement parts for this car if you were to crack an alloy wheel, which would be difficult because they're forged, or if you were to have your spoiler nicked or whatever. But ABT are really fussy about selling parts, and the rationale for that is because you can only buy this as a complete kit. You can't just buy the canards or the rear diffuser, for example, and the reason for that is because they want to keep that exclusivity. Now, If you were to damage something, you can buy a replacement part, but you need to contact them directly and you need to prove the car the part is coming from. It's quite impressive stuff, isn't it? Now, the power. It's naughty. So it's obviously a four-wheel drive anyway, standard Audi Quattro system, and normally an RS3, well, on this year is about 400 horsepower. At top power, this is 510 horsepower, which in a small little hatchback is, I promise, plenty enough, especially on the UK roads, which are notorious for being a bit. Now, I've been in plenty of cars that have been remapped by your backstreet garage, and you can genuinely tell the difference. It just feels like a stock RS3, but with more power. So a lot of these maps that these tuners put on cars, I'm not discrediting them at all, but they do lots of pops and bangs and all that sort of stuff, which the little chav in me is missing a little bit, because it sounds good with the Miltech, and it sounds good with the map and everything else that goes with it, and it feels good. But if I was to make any criticism on it, I'd actually probably want a couple of pops and bangs in there. But then again, when you're buying something that's exclusive, I don't want it sounding like a Halford special. And this sounds very, very well indeed. Now, the other thing that you get, I'm going to show it on the screen here, is you get an app with this car. So normally on an RS3, you've got different modes that you can go into to change whether or not you're in dynamic or eco or whatever it might be, which this car still has. But then on top of that, you've also got this, so you can go into mode and you can change it into eco, which is about 450 horsepower, sport, which is about 470, or race mode, which is of course the only mode that it should be in, which is 510. And let me tell you, 510 horsepower is quite the treat in this thing. Also on here as well, it'll show you all sorts of different things, like how much power you're running at any given time. It'll show you your revs. So as I rev it, it's showing it on the app. It's properly cool, this. You can start to see where your money goes, but I'm still questioning whether or not you'd spend another 40,000 quid. It's been 110 grand, this, what is essentially an A3, but a little bit more special, it has to be said. Now, I've had the pleasure of driving this on some country roads, and obviously we don't like to encourage driving like a prat, but this car very much encourages you to do that. It feels really planted, even though it's sort of on different suspension, different roll bars, etc. It's not offensive to drive. So I'm currently sat in dynamic mode, in RS individual, in sport mode, so everything's basically turned up to 11, except for the fact I've left the traction control on because I'm not a complete moron, even in a four-wheel drive car. And it just feels like you're driving in an A3. Genuinely, it's not overly loud, it's not popping and banging, it's not snarling, it's taking the undulation and bumps rather well indeed. However, what I need to do is obviously get it on a nice flat piece of road so I can show you what it sounds like. Now, in order to show you the prompt punctuality and power of this RS3R, I of course have to go to its native home ground, which is a built-up area, because that is where RS3s are best known for putting the foot down. However, I'm going to quickly pop onto what we like to call our local Autobahn, and that is the Keighley bypass, which has got average speed cameras on, by the way, so I'm just going to take you up to 70, which of course I'd never exceed anyway under any circumstances. And you can see just what this is all about. Now, apps do get a little bit of criticism when they build the UK cars, because these cars are that complicated and that clever that if you were to put this on a rolling road and the temperatures of the engine were to be higher than expected, this car will automatically dial the power down. I'll say it again, this is not just a case of a remap on an RS3. So until your coolant temperature gets up to 90, it won't give you full power. And if your coolant temperature starts to go above and beyond its limitations and the parameters that have already been mapped into it, it'll start to restrict the power. It's clever stuff, this. However, I don't think we're in that much bother at the moment, so let's just give it a little bit of a squirt up the bypass. We've got a Discovery par backside. We'll very quickly wave goodbye to you, madam. Cheerio. 70-ish. I love an RS3, but I've never been totally besotted by an RS3, if that makes sense, just because they're bloody everywhere, aren't they? They're a common car. I like a four-sprung one, but then when you couple this on top of it as well, it's a very special thing indeed. It goes like stink, it stops on a dime, it handles like you wouldn't believe. You're starting to see where your money's going with one of these. I do think I need to nail it again, coming back up the other way. We'll do that before I make a decision as to whether or not I'd part with all that money. I probably wouldn't because I'm a Yorkshireman. Spoiler alert. Let's get back up the bypass. So we are in individual mode, which I believe is full power. We've got full power on the app. I don't really want to send it like a prat on the telly, but I will. So we'll just chuck it into this bend. Yeah, I'd definitely have this in my dream garage. It's just a little hooning car. I'm trying to sort of see what its place is really, and I think it's probably the sort of car that is a great point-to-point car. Obviously not a family car, it's too small for that, but it's bragging rights, this, isn't it? And it holds its value really well because of the ABT app stuff on it. So a mate of mine called Paul was selling an SQ5 not that long ago, and he offered it into trade, and everyone was saying it's ridiculously priced because of the fact it had all this kit on it, and no one saw the value in it. He sold it in 24 hours, and he sold it for around about 10 grand more than a standard SQ5. And this is a 30 grand car. This is 60, 70 grand in its standard guise. I get it. It sort of makes sense. Let's get back and have a bit of a wrap up outside the showroom, shall we? So there we have it, £110,000 worth of Audi A3, which is exactly what people are going to continue to say about this car. I get it. It totally makes sense now I've driven it. It feels different, it looks different, you can't buy the bits and try and make your own. It's individual and it's exclusive, so I get that. Would I spend all of that money on an Audi RS3, R-apt and all the other stuff? Probably not. But then I say that being the same stupid boy that spent £85,000 on a Subaru that's sat in the corner doing nothing. So I think, truth be known, the only reason I wouldn't buy this is because I ain't got the money. I do get it, I love it. But what's your thoughts? Leave your thoughts, comments and opinions in the comments below and let me know whether or not you think this is good value, because you're getting 40 grand's worth of bits for only sort of 10 or 15 grand more than one is in a standard form now, or whether or not you think it's totally mental. Until next time, cheers.